You are tuned in to On Air with Chris Shanafelt. Welcome back on air as we continue our Player Spotlight series with the 2020 NFL Draft Class. I'm your host, Chris Shanafelt, and I'm now joined by defensive back out of West Georgia. He's Cedric Asseh. And Cedric, I really appreciate you taking the time this evening. How's everything going, man?
Everything's going great. It's a pleasure to be here, Mr. Shanafelt. Appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, the pleasure's all mine, especially when talking to under-the-radar prospects like yourself, who not a lot of people may be familiar with right now, but in the coming months, in the coming weeks, after Pro Day, I'm sure they will be familiar with your name, as I know you're looking forward to blowing that Pro Day out of the water. But first, let's talk about the journey to get to where you're at today, Cedric. From 2015 to 2018, you're playing in the MAC at Miami of Ohio. What was your experience like there, and how did you ultimately wind up at the University of West Georgia and spend your final year of eligibility playing for the Wolves?
The experience at Miami was great, man. I got to build some great friendships, great bonds, work with some great coaches, great facilities. Everything about the university was just great, from academics to athletics and everything. It's just, it got to a point in my career where I felt it would be in my better for me to, go elsewhere and really put the chips all on myself at the position, at the cornerback position, and, look for a defense that, worked towards my strong suit and show what I could do and demonstrate to these scouts that I was that kind of guy and I am that kind of corner that they can look for.
Being from the state of Georgia, Cedric, I got to think it was a pretty cool experience to go back to your home state and get a chance to play in front of some friends, some family, not to mention playing in one of the toughest conferences in Division II in the Gulf South. I mean, what was that entire experience like this past season?
It was great. It was a great experience, man. Like you say, back down the South, warm weather, can't go wrong. My children are actually here in Georgia, so that was one of the main reasons why I came back. I got to be closer to them, being able to see them more often. It was a great experience. Yes, sir. Definitely great competition also.
And you're a wide receiver turned cornerback, Cedric. Why did coaches decide that it would be best for you to play on the defensive side of the ball? And how does the wide receiver pass that you have allow you to be a better defensive back?
It was more just, testing out how far I could go with my athleticism, because they knew I was already long, twitchy, and I was really fast. So they just wanted me to test out the cornerback side and see if I would be able to do both. And then as I caught on to it pretty quick and adapted, and started thriving at it, it was like, all right, well, it's a no-brainer. And playing receiver actually helped me out a lot, because I know what guys are looking for. I know the kind of guys. I could tell the kind of receiver just, based off his stance and, releases, just everything from what kind of guy he is and what he's looking to do and what he wants to do at receiver, having that background from playing before. So, yeah, it definitely helps me out a lot.
And does the receiver pass, does it help you kind of read quarterback's eyes a little bit better?
Yes, sir, most definitely. And, majority of the time I always go to the number one guy, so it's a no-brainer where the ball is going anyway. So, yeah, yes, sir.
And what do you feel is your biggest strength that you bring to the cornerback position? I mean, you're a top-notch athlete. Is that kind of it, just your overall athleticism and speed that you bring to the defensive side of the ball, or is there something else that maybe goes under the radar that you feel should get a little bit more attention?
Definitely my athleticism that I bring to the table is an asset for me. But, the one thing most people don't know is my will to win, man. I'm a hard-nosed, gritty guy. I base everything I put the work in to basically win. That's the only thing that matters. It's a win-oriented business. So, I'm a hard-nosed corner. I can get hands-on at the line. I can finesse back off man zone. So I'm pretty versatile. I feel like I can adjust to any scheme when presented the opportunity. So.
Yeah, and you could probably form to any position, as well as we've already seen the transition from receiver to cornerback. And Cedric, as we know, both the wide receiver position and cornerback position are two positions that we get a lot of personality out of. What kind of player are you under the helmet on the field? I mean, are you animated on the field, or do you like to let your play speak for itself? How do you like to get in the head of opposing quarterbacks and wide receivers?
Yes, sir. I'm very animated, man. I like to have fun out there. You're not having fun while you're out there. So I'm a big talker. I'm a really big talker, because going into the matchup, usually, especially this season, it was just the guy knew who I was coming for, where I was going to be at, and I was going to be at number one. So I made sure they knew it. And, that was my thing. I'm a big talker. I like to have fun out there. So very animated.
Do you yank the chains of opposing wide receivers like a fellow defensive back Aqib Talib did to Michael Crabtree?
No, sir. No, I haven't got my sights up like that yet. I got a lot more work before I can get to that level. No, sir.
Hey, there we go. There we go. Love to hear it. So looking back throughout the years, who would you say is the best player you've lined up against, Cedric? It could be any position, quarterback, receiver, running back. Is there anyone that really stands out? You could go back to your days playing in the MAC or just this past season at the D2 level. Is there a specific player or two that stands out?
Honestly, it's definitely a lot of good players. A lot of good players I played against. Now, off the top of my head, this year specifically, Valdosta State had a pretty good quarterback. He could sling it and he could run it. But throughout my career, it's been a lot of great guys, man. I honestly couldn't just go back and pinpoint all of them. But definitely a lot of great competition I faced throughout my career.
Again, we're chatting with 2020 NFL draft prospect, defensive back out of the University of West Georgia by way of Miami of Ohio, Cedric Asseh. And Cedric, West Georgia has been a Division II hotbed over the years when it comes to next-level talent. A couple of weeks ago, I had the pleasure of having your teammate Big Z, the defensive tackle, on the show. I know scouts have been in and out of Carrollton, Georgia over the years, and I know you only spent this past year at West Georgia, but any chance you've been able to meet with any teams up to this point? Any idea how they might be viewing you as a prospect?
Yes, sir. Since the season's ended, I went to the National Bowl and the Tropical. So throughout those process and going there and showing scouts, what they should see on film and basically playing my game, and that's going finding those receivers and locking them down. I've had the opportunity to speak to a couple teams. A lot of them like my skill set. My length was definitely, because I'm a technician at first. I don't try to just rely on my athleticism. So a lot of them, I've been getting a lot of good feedback from it. And, I remember one time after one practice, one of the team coaches told me, we want guys, if you have that length, we want to see you use it. You know what I'm saying? It's nice that you got the feed, but we want to see you use that length at the time. So, I went back the next day, went back to the drawing board, tried to show them that, and got some positive feedback from that coach once again. So, yeah, I've had the opportunity to talk to a couple teams, sir.
And you talk about the size that you bring to the cornerback position, Cedric. I've seen 6'1", 192. Is that accurate? If not, can you just update us on your current listings?
I'm about 194 right now, 194, 195. I'm trying to go in and pro day about 195.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. And you mentioned the National Bowl. You mentioned the Tropical Bowl, too. AllStar Games that took place last month. Did the success that you had in both of those games, did it reassure you that you were doing the right thing going through this process, going up against some of the best in the country, that every player in both of those games had the same end goal as you, and that's to make it professionally?
Yes, sir. It definitely did. It definitely was a big confidence booster because, after the season, it was kind of up in the air. I knew what I did on film would speak for itself, but I didn't want to just wait and just, leave scout wondering what to expect from me. So I wanted to go out as many events as I could to show them in person what I was capable of doing, and going out there and basically having success at both of those games was a big confidence booster for me.
A couple more questions for Cedric Asseh. He's a 2020 NFL draft prospect, defensive back out of the University of West Georgia by way of Miami of Ohio. And Cedric, you have a track and field background as well, dating back to your high school days and even back to your days at Miami at the college level. What kind of speed do you possess? And as you now prepare for the pro day, how much does that track and field background help you prepare for what's probably your biggest job interview up to this point?
Yes, sir. It's definitely a big confidence booster. I'm going in, in my mindset, I'm blocking out anything from the outside. My mindset, I'm looking to go 4-2, 4-3, and that's what I have on my mind. That's, when I'm preparing, because like you said, I've been running track since high school and then even college. Just once spring ball was over, give me about a week or two, go out there and just help out with the team from anchor leg, qualify for conference, qualify for the 100. So, yeah, I'm very confident in my speed, and I'm looking forward to displaying that at pro day, not just, the speed I have just vertically, but showing how much ground I could cover and showing how much of a technician I am at the cornerback position.
And you guys heard that correctly. Cedric said 4.243. Cedric, we have guys hesitate to even predict 4.445 range. So for you to go out and say 4.243, I mean, that right away should open the eyes of the listeners tuning in that may not be familiar with your game. And, you mentioned one of your goals, 4.243 40-yard dash. Where exactly are you training for your pro day? Do you have any details on when and where your pro day will be at?
My pro day right now is set up for March 10th at West Georgia, and I'm training with Chip Smith, man. That's the guru out here. So yes, sir, I'm working with him, working with a lot of great guys and compete with them every day. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chip Smith, if you're familiar with the NFL draft process and the pro day process, it doesn't get too much better than Chip Smith. I've interviewed a number of guys that have gone and worked out with him and prepared with him for their pro day, and they would go on to have a lot of success. Does he still have Ray Buchanan coaching the defensive backs there?
Oh, no, sir. We're working with Spencer Smith right now, man. That's a technician right there, man. He's teaching us a lot of things about the position, yes, sir.
That's awesome.
Great guy to work with.
That's awesome. Hey, Cedric, one last question for you, and then we'll let you go. Really appreciate your time. It's a question I end all my prospect interviews with, and that's, let's say we have all 32 NFL general managers. They're tuning into this very interview. Why should they want the defensive back out of West Georgia, Cedric Asseh, a part of their team?
Well, first thing about me, I'm a team guy. So whatever I have to do to make sure to show my organization or help my organization achieve its goal, that's the kind of guy I am. But on the field, man, I'm hard-nosed. I'm a gritty guy. I come to work every day. I have a will to succeed, man. And, I feel like I fit with the prototypical corner of what the NFL is looking for nowadays. And that's guys with size, speed, length. I can play against any type of receiver from big, little guys, doesn't matter. And I'm competitive, man. I got that will to win. I want to be great. So, I feel like that's what I bring to the table.
And obviously, the more you can do, the better chance you can get at the next level. You've already shown your versatility, making the switch from receiver to defensive back and playing defensive back at a high level, Cedric. Is there any special teams experience, though, especially with that blazing speed that you have? Do you have any kick return or punt return experience or maybe any work at gunner? Obviously, that'll probably be something that they'll be looking at for the next level. Any experience or any desire to play special teams at the next level?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's the number one thing right there, man. I love special teams, man. I know coming in as especially from the B2 level, that's the main thing. I'm going to have to make my money at special teams. I love special teams from kickoff, the gunner, like you said, any gunner. I had some kick return. I started out at kick return there at Miami, so I'm not afraid to get back there and show that speed. I love that, so I can do it all, really, all special teams. Wherever they need me is where I'm going. Yes, sir.
That's what I like to hear. Hey, Cedric, wishing you all the best. Thanks so much for taking the time this evening, and definitely going to be keeping my eyes peeled for that March 10th Pro Day. Again, congrats on all the success up to this point, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the next couple of months bring for you and your future.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you. Appreciate you having me on here, Mr. Schoenfeld.